Happy Monday. All right, it's time for our weekly Monday Q&A here. Today we're going to be talking all things you guys have questions about everything from launching a creative business, growing that creative business, productivity, mindset, anything you have questions on, we'll be answering today. I'm hoping you're having a amazing Monday here. The weather in Chicago has just been absolutely incredible. I actually just got back from a lunch date with Kayla. We went out to one of our favorite barbecue places, and one of the awesome things about being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, is you get the freedom of time to do things like that, right? You get to go out in the middle of the day, go get lunch with your friends, your partner, because you control your schedule. And that's what a lot of us as creative entrepreneurs, we're after that, right? We're after that time freedom, that financial freedom. And I'm here to show you guys what's possible and how to achieve those types of things. So, today's Q&A can focus on that. It's really anything you guys have questions on. So whoever's a question, go ahead, drop it in the comment section or in the question box. The question box works a lot better because I get to actually see your questions in a dedicated space. So that's going to be right to the right of the comment section. Okay, we've got a lot of questions here already. Oh, these are actually from my Q&A that we did the other day. Okay, so these questions aren't from this live chat. Cool. So anyone that has questions, either drop them in the Instagram chat right here in the question box. I think we're live on YouTube as well. So if you're tuning in from YouTube, go ahead and just drop those questions in the YouTube chat box, and we'll start answering them one by one. Oh, Natalia's in here. Hey, what's up, Natalia? Natalia is one of our Creative Biz Launch students. She just had a really awesome Valentine's Day shoot that she posted. If you're a product photographer, especially if you're a product photographer that specializes in jewelry, go check out her page because she has some really incredible work. And you'll be inspired to see what's out there and what you can actually accomplish. Ooh, great question here. Do you close clients on discovery calls or do you have a second call? This is really good. So my client acquisition process only has one discovery call. So how this works is we'll have some sort of funnel to actually land the call. Usually that's cold outreach. From there, we're going to book a call, and on that initial call, that's where we're going to dive into their problems and propose solutions for their problems. So we only have one call, initial call with the client, and the goal of that call is to get them a proposal. So if we think it's a good fit, if we think we're the best person to solve their problems, we'll send them a proposal at the end of the call there. And then we're going to follow up with them via email to close that proposal. Now, sometimes clients will want a second call to kind of review the proposal. That's something you can do if the client is really asking for that second call. Definitely hop on that. But usually we just do one call, send the proposal, and go from there. Now, if you're doing really expensive shoots like 5 figures plus per client, that's when you might want to consider multiple calls because there's going to be more decision makers involved here, right? If it's a 5 figure project, you might not just be talking to the marketing director, you might be talking to the VP of marketing, the CEO, a lot more people, so that after you send the proposal, there might be more people involved to actually close the call. So 99% of the time it's going to be one person, but if one call, but if it's a really high value project, high ticket project, then it might be multiple calls there. A lot of questions here. Okay, if I see a lot of questions coming in here, my VA is in the chat and she's managing some of these things. So if you have a question and you want to make sure it gets answered, don't just use the comment section. Use the question box that's to the right of the comment section. That's where I'm going to be pulling questions from here today. Okay, what exactly is cold email or outreach? Okay, so part of the client acquisition process involves you getting in front of the client. We create these portfolios, we create a type of service that we want to start offering clients. Clients just don't know that we exist. So we have to do outreach to get in front of clients. There's two ways to get in front of them, right? You either post stuff on social media and hope they see it, or you actually get in front of them via cold email, a cold call, a cold message. And this is to book that sales call I was just talking about. We need to put ourselves in front of the client so that they see what we're offering here. So we're going to send them a cold email talking about what service we offer, how we've helped other people in the past, and see if they're interested in working with us too. So that's what I mean with cold email. Now, if you really want to get into this, there's actually four ways to get in front of clients. One is cold outreach, two is organic social, three is going to be paid ads. So, actually paying social media platforms to push your content to potential clients. And fourth is going to be warm outreach. So, that's like reaching out to people you know. If you're just starting out, I recommend either sticking to cold outreach or doing warm outreach with current people. Okay, well, we got a lot of good questions here today. Let's see. Okay, question from Natalia, so Studio Not Media. Any advice if you're feeling discouraged about brands not responding to your cold outreach? Is there something I might need to change up, or should I just keep pushing forward? So when brands aren't responding to our cold outreach, this can mean a number of things. One, it may mean that there's a mismatch between who we're reaching out to and who we can best serve. So if we're in a very specific niche, like a food and beverage photographer or a jewelry photographer, we definitely want to be reaching out to leads within that same niche so that maximizes the chances of them responding to us. Secondly, we want to make sure that we're following best practices. So we want to make sure that all our cold emails are like authenticated properly, so we're not landing in spam. Our accounts are set up properly, all that good stuff. And thirdly, if we're still not getting the kind of responses that we want, we should be switching up our cold email copy. So testing different things throughout the cold email, actual copy. So maybe testing different hooks out, A/B testing these things, and seeing if that improves our result. Because if we're not where we want to be, we can improve that. So another thing that we can do is actually offer some sort of free value. So rather than ending the cold email with just a straight ask like, "Hey, do you want to hop on a 10-minute call?" What we could do is offer them some sort of free value, right? Not just ask them for the call. Maybe you can say, "Hey, I've got these three awesome ideas for your brand. I would love to share them with you. You can even run with these yourself and have your own photographer do these. I just want to hop on a call to talk through these ideas with you." If you offer value upfront like that, it's more likely that they're going to respond to your emails. Um, so that's one thing you can do to really help with that. The other thing is like it takes a lot of volume to start getting responses. And once you land a couple clients with cold outreach, or any clients in general, it's going to start to compound. And it's going to become a snowball effect because each extra client you have on your website, each extra testimonial case study makes you that much more credible, makes it that much more likely someone's going to want to work with you. So the more you do this and the more clients you get, the better and better the results become. It's really those first few clients that are the hardest to get. But once you start getting those, it becomes a lot easier here. Again, anyone that has questions, use the question box rather than the comments because I can't get through all the comments here as much as I try. Okay, let's go through these. Okay, question about free work here. So, work before you get the contract. What do you suggest we? When it comes to free work, I recommend. Hold on here. When it comes to free, if a client is asking for like a free test project, a lot of the time that may be a red flag. If it's when we're doing free work, we don't really want to when let me reverse here. When we offer free work with a client, the assumption a lot of the time isn't that this client will eventually turn into a paid project. The assumption is that we're going to get some sort of testimonial from this client and that we're going to be able to use their testimonial to land a different client. Once someone is used to working for free with us, a lot of the time they're going to want to continue working for free because they've associated our value with that free project rather than our value with whatever we're charging. So free work is great to get your foot in the door and build up your portfolio, build up your kind of client base on your website, build up case studies. But free work isn't that great, at least from my experience, for landing paying clients with the client you're doing free work for. So if I have like someone, um, if I'm trying to land a client, I'm not going to offer them a free upfront project. I may offer them free other types of value, like I was just talking about, like the free ideas or like a free maybe like website audit to like see like okay if we can change these photos on your website here, change this landing page to this, and all that stuff. then that's something I could offer for free. But I wouldn't actually offer my photo services for free. I would offer something else that's valuable, kind of like a lead magnet to get them, show them like, okay, I'm the best person to solve this problem. Here's some free value. But if you want the next step, it's going to cost you. So I don't subscribe to the idea of like doing free projects for clients to eventually land that same client. I like the idea of doing free work for other clients so then we can land paid work for a different type of client here. Okay, if you have questions, drop them in the question box here. We got some people wanting Archie to make an appearance. He's in the other room right now. I don't know if Kayla's watching this, but Kayla, if you want to bring him in here, feel free. Okay, what are some tools that you use for delivery and keep clients in the process? Great question. So the onboarding process, the kind of um, post contract process. So like once someone signs your contract is super important. So this is all about the customer experience here. I use a couple tools here. Notion is fantastic for creating mood boards, staying organized, staying up to date with where projects are, and even providing live project tracking. I teach all of my Creative Biz Launch students, and I also provide a lot of templates inside Notion. So if you're in that program, we have templates about live project tracking, so you can actually share a mood board and then update the status of like where the client is in the process, and they see that. And this is kind of like tracking your Amazon packages or FedEx packages, right? The client can see if like they're in preparation, or if they're in the mood board stage, or if they're in the shooting process, or in the first proofs, or in the review process. And that's really powerful, to kind of stay top of mind, or to keep the best customer experience for this client. So Notion's the first one in this. And for actual delivery of photos, I use two things. One is Frame.io. That's where I send photos and videos for clients to review, to like go through first proofs to see if there's anything they want to revise. And for final delivery, I just use Dropbox, nothing fancy there. I know there's lots of like gallery softwares, but you don't really have to make that super fancy. We got a special guest here. Oh, hey, bud. This is Archie. This is our 2-year-old Cavapoo. Um, yeah, when I'm not working, a lot of my time is spent playing with this little guy here. I think he was whining a bit, wanted to see dad. All right. Back to the questions here. Okay, again, if you have a question that you really want answered, drop it in the question box, because I see a lot of people joining, so it's hard to keep up with these all these questions. Okay, what is the best way to portray your pricing to convince a customer to make a purchase? So I wouldn't think of this as like portraying your pricing, or like trying to make your pricing sound, or like putting your pricing in a certain spot. It goes beyond that. It really comes down to like what your offer is, what your package is, and like what differentiates you from other people. So this is a very tough thing to figure out, and it takes a lot of trial and error, and you should be trying a lot of things here. So I refer to this as like the offer, right? What is it that you're actually doing for your client? A lot of photographers and videographers say, okay, I'm giving them nice photos. I'm providing like this sick edit on a video, right? I'm creating this really great film for this client. But in reality, that's not what they're after. They're after some sort of solution. So as product photographers, why are we taking photos for clients? Well, they probably want more sales. They probably want to boost some sort of metric on their back end. Maybe they want to build up their brand awareness on their social media platforms. Maybe someone wants better videos so that their ads perform better. This is like the underlying thing that clients want, and they hire a photographer or videographer as like the mechanism for that solution. So really figuring out what your client is after is the first part of this process. So even if you're not a product photographer, if you're a headshot photographer, maybe you work with actors or business people or other certain individuals, figure out why they're coming to you for headshots, and make that kind of the underlying thing of the entire offer. Once you know what people are after, you can then craft the offer around that. So for me, like when people work with me, they want increased sales. So obviously, I'm going to provide really great product photos. But also we do videos and stop motions, because now in social media, video is becoming bigger and bigger. So that kind of thing helps make me stand out. On top of that, what can I do to make my offer appear higher value compared to other photographers? An easy way to do this is to kind of make things move faster. So that could mean like faster turnaround times, but it can also mean things like faster communication with your client. So if they inquire to work with you, you're going to respond to them same day. If they email you after the project's already been signed, you're going to respond quickly because they're paying a premium to work with you. And speed is what a lot of people are after. A lot of people pay for speed. That's like why you're willing to pay for delivery to get your food faster, right? You don't have to go out there, drive to the restaurant, pick your food up, and come back. You're willing to pay someone to bring it to you. Same principle applies to your photography business. The other part of this is really decreasing the effort the client has to do, what the client has to do when they work with you, decreasing that effort. So beginner photographers may think that clients want to um, have a lot of control of the process. They want to be involved in every step. And sure, maybe this is a little bit true, but what they really want is for you to propose each step, what's going to happen, all the creative direction. And they just like kind of come in and say, yeah, this sounds good. This sounds good. This sounds good. Less effort they have to do, the more you can charge for your service because business people are busy. They don't want to be holding the hand of their photographer, videographer. They want them to do all of it, and they're willing to pay a premium for that. So that's just a few ways to be able to increase your perceived value, your value of your pricing. So don't try and think of portraying your pricing in a certain way to increase it. Think of how can we provide more value for the client. Okay, we got a good YouTube question here from Sean Anderson. When you say cold outreach requires a lot of volume, what would you say is an average response rate, call booking rate? Really great question, Sean. So with cold email, your response rates are going to vary depending if you're doing best practices or not. You might be getting one response out of 100 emails or 10 or 20 responses out of 100 emails, depending on how um, what you're doing and how if you're doing everything correctly. So when I say like everything correctly, that means like all your things are authenticated properly, so you're not landing in spam. Your email accounts are warmed up. Your copy follows like the hook credibility and call to action framework. If you don't know anything about cold email, if you're just getting started, I have a free workshop that's in the show notes, or not the show notes, the YouTube description or in my Instagram bio. Definitely grab that because that walks through the 7 deadly cold email mistakes and goes a bit further into cold outreach. But anytime, if you're getting like 10 responses for every 100 you're sending out, know that you're doing fine. Like that's an average response rate. And then of those, at least like half of those should be turning into potential phone calls, ideally more. And that kind of comes down to maybe your pricing and maybe who you're reaching out to a lot of the time. The last part of this is if you have to be reaching out to the right people. So you don't want to be reaching out to like support email addresses for a company. You want to be targeting marketing directors and people like that. Again, if you need help with that, we have a free workshop that walks you through that. Cool. Let's keep going through these questions. We got a lot today. Appreciate all the questions, guys. Love it when you guys ask me these. Okay, so we got a great question here. If you don't have any case studies or growth or potential brands, but we only have our portfolio, how do we? How are we supposed to convince clients? That's a great question, and you kind of answered it here. So, how are we going to convince clients to work with us if we have a great portfolio but no case studies or proof that we say what we do, that we do what we say we do, right? And this comes down to getting a few free projects or really low budget clients. I prefer to work for free than low budget. But if you already know you do great work, if you already have a great portfolio, it's going to be pretty easy to get some case studies by offering free work for clients. And a lot of people say don't work for free, but free work will accelerate your growth long term because, yes, in the moment, it might not be fun to work for free for 2 or 3 projects. But by working for free for those 2 or 3 projects, it's going to set you up for long term success because we're in here to build a career, to build a business, not to just to get some quick money this month, right? We're here to build like a business for a decade or multiple years. So offering to work for free with our awesome portfolio to get case studies will be the best way to actually get those case studies. Once we get case studies or testimonials, it's going to get easier to land clients because we'll have credibility and social proof on our website here that we kind of do what we say we do. Love these questions. Again, if you have questions on Instagram, just submit them in the question box to the right of the comment section. There's a lot of people joining, so it's hard to see all these questions here. Okay. What should I do if I get a message from a client who has a product which I haven't shopped before, but I'm confident doing? But since I don't have the prior sample image for a similar product, the question got cut off here. But what I think this question is asking is, what if a client reaches out to me that's outside my niche? So I'll use myself as an example. I'm a product photographer. I do food and beverage photographer mainly, and that's what I portray out to the world. On my website, you find that. On my Pieta Productions page, it's going to be food and beverage photography. But I've had lots of brands reach out to me that have nothing to do with food and beverage photography, and that's absolutely okay. My niche exists for outbound sales. My niche exists for when I'm reaching out to people. When I'm reaching out to brands, they see me as an expert in this field. Now, other people will reach out to me too. Like I work with jewelry companies and they reach out to me. And even though my niche isn't in that, they see like I'm a good photographer. I can do food photos. Why they assume I can do jewelry photos as well. So when you're getting inbound leads, when people are reaching out to you outside of your niche, definitely take those clients on because you know you're capable of doing that. You can do all sorts of genres of photography, of videography. And for inbound leads, that's fine. And that's what we should be doing. When people reach out to us for something that's outside of our niche, definitely take on those clients. Now, I don't post those photos on my website because I'm still trying to maintain a very specific niche for who I serve. But I still take on those clients and I work with them. Like I have some very out there clients that have nothing to do with my niche, but they see like I'm an expert at photo and video and they reach out to me for that reason. And I still take them on as clients. So I'm rambling here, but in short, you want to, for outbound sales, you're very niche down, but for inbound sales, you're able to do whatever niches come your way for the most part. Loving these questions, guys. Oh, Archie's getting a lot of love here. Love it. All right, let me scroll through these. Okay, Lewis Nova Design here. At what point do you just rip the band-aid and make the jump from 9 to 5 to creative entrepreneurship? This is a tough question, and there's no right answer to this question. Um, Making this decision was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life. It was a very tough decision for me to quit my 9 to 5 and go all in on my business. I'll give you some context to how I did it because context is really important to my decision here. So I quit my job after just one $500 client. And that doesn't sound like much. But the reason I did that was one, I created this like sales system, the same system I teach to create biz launch students today. I created the sales system that I was testing for about 10 months nonstop every single day to try and land a single client with this system. And I knew that if I could like land one client with the system, I'd be able to land hundreds more. And me landing that $500 client, sure, the money was great, but the real power of that client was that the proof that my system worked, that I could land client after client by just following the system. So once I got that first client, I quit my job because I had a proven system that can get client after client. And after I quit my job, I was able to land many, many clients back to back to back because I spent those 10 months perfecting the system. Now I took like online courses to learn this. I read books. I did all this stuff to learn this stuff. But after I perfected that system, I quit my job because I had confidence in myself that this thing worked and I had proof that it worked. Second part of this, I had some savings saved up. So I think I had about 3 to 6 months of runway that would cover all my expenses for that time. So if I had zero clients for the next like 6 months, I would just end up going back to my 9 to 5. But I had enough money to survive for like 6 months, pretty much. I bet on myself that for 6 months I would be able to land more clients, and that bet paid off. And I'm still here 4 years later. So things worked out. And the last part of this was I was nearing some form of burnout. So I was working early mornings, working my lunch, working after my 9 to 5 to try and make my business work. And I was putting in so much work that I was like on the edge of burnout here. So I knew that if I didn't go in right now and unlock those extra 40 hours a week for my business, I don't know if I would have made it work. So it was a very tough decision for me. There were risks involved. It was very risky, but it was not reckless, right? There's a difference between taking risks and being reckless. I had confidence in myself. I had confidence in the way I pitch clients. So I took the risk and it paid off. So that's my story. This may not be applicable to you. Hopefully you can get some nuggets out of there. It's very dependent on person to person, but really you have to make a decision. And once you make that decision, you have to make it right. So you do everything in your power to make sure that you made you're making the decision right after the fact? Great question there. Cool. We're already half an hour in. We're going to keep on going though. Cool. Let's see what we got. Again, if you have questions, drop them in the question box to the right of the comment section here. Uh, doo, doo, doo. Okay. Okay, how would you start photography business now in 2024? Imagine you're a beginner product photographer. Great. Good question. Step one, get some sort of portfolio. We need something that we're selling. We need to have some sort of service that we can provide to other people so they can pay us. We need to find a something in the market that we can solve, some problem that we can solve. So if I'm a product photographer, I would find a niche, food and beverage probably, and within there, I would start creating a portfolio. So I'd go to a grocery store, buy a bunch of like CPG brands, take photos of them, and have about like 20 shots within that niche. They're a little related, but they're all unique shots and show kind of my what I'm capable of. Once I have that portfolio, I create a website with some sort of headline around the problem I solve. I solve sales and brand awareness for companies by having better product photos. So I would create a website with my portfolio with that copy on the website, and I'd also slap a guarantee on there just to make sure there's no risk in working with me. Next, I would start reaching out to people that I know, people in my network that might know someone who needs a food photographer or a product photographer in my niche, and then I would also start reaching out to brands on Instagram or via email and offering to work for free. I would I would keep reaching out until I got 3 or 4 brands saying yes to my free work. And when I approach these brands, I would approach it from a point of, hey, I'm going to do this free work, but I want some sort of testimonial from you, and it'd be awesome if you get a case study too. So from there, we'll do the project. I'll get testimonials, case studies, slap those on my website. Then I would reach back out to these free clients and asking if they have anyone in their network that's looking for any paid work. And then I would start some sort of outreach campaign via cold email, reaching out to brands in my niche, offering to work at some sort of rate. So I'd start low, and then once I land one client, I'd pretty much like double my rate. Then I would land another client and increase my rate further until I started getting no's. And from that point, I would start to refine my offer and go from there. So that's how I would start, how I would get my first clients. Um, and I think that's the best way to start in 2024. That's the classic way you start any business. You offer some free value up front, and then you start charging after that. All right. We're going on 35 minutes here. Going to end this Q&A. Thank you everyone for your questions here. These have been really great questions. A lot of people joined us today. We're doing the same thing, I believe, next Monday. I know for February, we did one every Monday of February. So really excited for that. If you're someone who needs help starting, or you don't have any clients here, or you need help like pricing, things like that, there is a free workshop in my bio. So definitely grab that. That free workshop is 60 minutes, pure value, walks you through my 3-step process for pitching clients, where to find clients, and how to price your work to start charging thousands. And goes more into like my story. It's a really great workshop. We've had, I think, like 700 people take it in the past since I launched it in January. So check that out, and I will talk to you guys next week. All right, peace.